This is Andy with QualityStocks. Today is Wednesday, June 22nd, 2011, and today we're going to take a look at General Steel Holdings. This is a New York Stock Exchange listed company trading our ticker GSI. This chart's interesting for a couple of reasons. One, holding New York Stock Exchange listing requirements. That certainly has to factor into it when you see a stock trading just over $1. But two, also wonder if it's going to try and find a bottom. Nice move yesterday, up 3.5%. Relatively low volume, 126,000 shares traded, but you can see it's probably about average, maybe slightly below for this. Doesn't trade with a huge amount of volume. Are seeing some things that are a little bit ugly through here. We always look for higher highs and higher lows. In this case, it's actually making a lower low. Long-term picture, I'd be looking for this trend line to fall. Sometimes I like to do these videos based on trying to be somewhat of a lesson at the same time. This is one because making lower lows, it does reduce the chances of this actually finding a bottom and trying to make a climb. Typically look for positive divergence while the MACD is trending back towards zero and the price per share is trending down. It's just a good thing to follow along with and see if the chart can make a bottom and start to reverse course and watch the uptrend start from scratch. See us actually in a PPO ADX pinch. Not super deep. See PPO is only registering a -8 or so right now. And the ADX is actually only at 41. Nonetheless, a pinch or play formation. Of course, the negative DI being on top of the positive DI is a good thing. Here's a case where we're getting the 7 pulling away from the 14 and 21. You can see already starting to try and pull back to it a little bit. Something to keep an eye on, but having a tough time popping through 50. But we are seeing the longer term starting to put themselves a curl together, and that is actually a positive indication. You can see the downtrend continues with the accumulation distribution, and just a slightly lower lows being made with shaking money flow. Selling pressure is obviously dominant. The stock's been in a pretty good slide. We're going to pay attention to that level to hold and see if this can start to uptrend a little bit, start to make some higher lows. CCI, now there's an indicator that's actually putting itself together, higher lows all along, moving above -100, which is a positive thing to see. Full still in oversold territory, but actually looks like it could be making a new lower valley through here. Trix being a lagging indicator, just nothing great happening with that at this point. Again, if it were uptrending back towards zero, it'd be a very bullish sign, but the downward channel is continuing at this point, so we're just not getting much from it. RSIs appear to be making a higher low and could actually be looking to go try and make a higher high through here. Now, I can't predict where that line's going to go. I'm just saying point in case you're looking for it to move, make a higher peak somewhere above these two areas and try and develop some sort of upward channel. But right now in a pretty nice position. When it comes to looking at these sort of plays and trying to make some educated decisions about possibly moving upward, it's imperative to try and get some close stop loss in play. And for me, that would be right through that area. Now, the very bottom would come in at $1.37. But I'd say this $1.43 area does start to pick up a little bit of support. It's acted as support several different times, and that's where I'd want to see it hold. See this closure at $1.48, that keeps the stop loss very close. And I'd be watching for this resistance to fall right around that $1.55 mark. Of course, I'd want to see it push through $1.58. It's going to be challenging the 20-day moving average. A lot of different things come along with that. We're trying to turn this chart a little bit bullish, not to mention making an old high. But there is some static resistance that's established right there around $1.55. So for me, it's important to see it try and push through it. Some people might call this a kicking pattern. I wouldn't really call it that. But it can be read that even though it closed down here, it gapped up and held part of the gains yesterday. And that is a pretty decent sign of seeing some bullishness come into it. But obviously, it's very early. It's just one day. But this chart's really about looking at a play from the very early onset of a possible reversal. It's meant to be followed along with a little bit and see what this chart does. After that, resistance doesn't really pick up until around $1.70, and even more substantially around $1.80. 50 days dynamic, it'll probably going to come down there and meet it in that area, reinforce that resistance. Again, it's a pretty nice move, about 20% or so to go up here from $1.48 to go up there and challenge resistance at $1.80. Those are the sort of things you look for if this can start to trend, push through this resistance, push to the upper half of the Bollinger Bands, possibly rotate, come back down, make a higher low, and over the course of a little bit of time, maybe challenge that resistance. So when I ran across this one today, I thought it'd be a good one to share, just from an overall perspective of a very early on potential bottom play. So I'm going to throw us on the watch list over the coming weeks and see how it performs. As always, really my interpretation of the general steel chart. This is Andy with QualityStocks. Thank you for watching and trade smart.